Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you after Victor. The Family Next Door was a harrowing examination of Chris Watts's murder of his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two daughters. The documentary became an almost immediate sensation in the true crime genre and beyond. Though many had heard of the Chris Watts murder case before, the Netflix documentary presented previously unseen text messages and letters between Shanann and Chris, as well as police body cam footage and Shanann's social media posts before her death, shedding even more light on the horrific crime. Here, find the answers to the biggest questions about Chris Watts, Shanann Watts, and his then-girlfriend, Nichol Kessinger. What happened with Chris Watts? Chris Watts's wife, Shanann, and daughters Bella and Celeste were reported missing on Aug. 13, 2018, after she missed a doctor's appointment. Chris initially cooperated with police and said he had no idea where Shanann or the girls would be and spoke to the press begging for their safe return and about how much he missed them. It wasn't until August 15, 2018, when Chris failed a polygraph lie detector test that suspicions really rose as to how much he knew and was involved with their disappearance. Chris agreed to speak further with investigators if he could talk first with his father. He confessed to his father that he murdered Shanann, but only after he alleged that Shanann had murdered their daughters. Police found the bodies of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, where Chris told his father they would be, at a job site for Anadarko Petroleum Company. The girls were inside of oil tanks, and Shanann was buried in what was described as a shallow grave. Chris Watts was charged with the murders of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste on Aug 21, 2018. In November 2018, Chris pleaded guilty to the murder of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. He was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for each person he killed, plus 2 additional counts for the slayings of Bella and Celeste because they were under 12 years old, 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive and 2 concurrent life sentences for the murders, plus an additional 48 years for unlawful termination of a pregnancy and 36 years for tampering with Shanann and the girls' bodies. It wasn't until Chris was behind bars that he revealed exactly how the murders occurred. He told Shanann he wanted to separate. They got into an argument, and he strangled her. His daughters woke up to ask him what was going on and to take their mother to the hospital when they saw Chris dragging her body down the stairs. He put Bella, Celeste, and their mother's body in his truck and drove to the oil site, where he smothered Bella and Celeste and left their bodies in oil tanks and buried Shanann's corpse. Chris Watts was an operator for Anadarko Petroleum Company. Chris Watts' salary was estimated to be $61,500. The Watts were estimated to be in about $70,000 of debt, which included student loans, credit card, and medical bills, plus their $3,000 monthly mortgage. In 2015, Shanann and Chris Watts filed for bankruptcy, listing their liabilities at $400,000. They were also due in court just weeks after the murders because their homeowners association sued them for $1,433.80. Shanann Watts sold products for Thrive by Lavelle, a multi-level marketing company. Chris Watts told investigators that Shanann had him wear patches the company sold in videos to market them and that he hated the way they made him feel, noting that they raised his heart rate and kept him awake. Why did Chris Watts kill his wife? It's speculated that Chris Watts killed Shanann Watts because he wanted to end his marriage and pursue a new relationship with someone he had recently met at work, Nichol Kessinger, Nicky. Shanann also revealed in a series of text message exchanges that Chris didn't want another child. In the book, Letters from Christopher, The Tragic Confessions of the Watts Family Murders, Sharon Cadle revealed that he wrote, "I thought it would be easier to be with Nichol if Shanann wasn't pregnant." He also wrote of the act of the murder, "I knew if I took my hands off of her, she would still keep me from Nicky." For whatever reason, in his mind, divorce wasn't an option, Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke told reporters. He was doing all that kind of research that you would think that somebody in a brand new relationship would be doing. But he was still married, with 2 daughters and a son on the way. Unlike most other men who murder their families, Chris Watts did not also kill himself, nor did he have a history of domestic violence. I think the fact that he didn't commit suicide may speak to this aggressive, narcissistic kind of personality, which says that he thinks he may be able to get away with this. Dr. Neil Websdale, director of the Family Violence Institute of Northern Arizona, told Rolling Stone. It speaks to the fact that he's very, very much self-centered and felt entitled to do these things. I don't think he will ever tell us. I don't think he will give an honest assessment of why he did what he did, how he did what he did, Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke told press via CNN, following Watts' sentencing. Judge Marcelo Kopkow said the Watt family slaying was the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. It's also speculated that Watts may just be a classic narcissist. Psychotherapist Lena Derhally, author of My Daddy is a Hero, How Chris Watts Went from Family Man to Family Killer, said she doesn't believe Watts had a psychotic break when he murdered his wife and children. It was clear, based on Chris's behavior after the crime, that this wasn't a psychotic break or some kind of schizophrenia or mental illness. He was completely of sound mind. One of Chris's confessions, he does describe premeditating these murders for weeks, and I believe a lot of the evidence backs that up, she said in an interview. It does seem quite premeditated based on his behavior in the weeks before he killed them. She added, the parental instinct is the exact opposite of what Chris did. A person who does this has absolutely no empathy. The fact that he even killed his daughter in front of the other one and subjected her to that. I mean, there is absolutely zero empathy there. This is someone who does not take the perspective of another person. This is someone who's severely narcissistic in the sense that they're only taking their wants and needs into account, and they're entitled to think that they can do anything in order to get what they want. Forensic psychologist Dr. N.G. Barrell explained to Rolling Stone that Chris may have killed the girls to get back at Shanann for foiling his plans with Nichol Kessinger. If he was being confronted by his spouse and she was threatening to take the kids away and he'd never see them again because of his affair, it might have provoked a level of rage that resulted in his inability to control himself. Rather than, you'll take the kids away from me, it's I'll take the kids away by murdering them. What health issues did Shanann Watts have? Shanann Watts suffered from lupus, an autoimmune condition that gave her flu-like symptoms and caused her to lose her hair until she received treatment. She also suffered from migraines. Today, Chris Watts is in the Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin, which is a maximum security location. He was transferred there from his prior location in Colorado because the widespread interest in his case put him in danger. A friend of Watts told people that Watts was triggered by the Netflix American Murder documentary release. Just knowing that the documentary is out there has sent Chris to some dark places. He hates knowing that it's out there, but realizing that he will never see it. He's reliving a lot of what happened, and he hates not knowing what people are seeing about his private communications. Not that he wants to spend that time watching the darkest days of his life, but he wants to know what the documentary looks like and how it tells the story. Watts has also reportedly found religion in prison. Chris Watts and his girlfriend Nichol Kessinger. Who was Chris Watts' girlfriend? Chris Watts' girlfriend at the time of the murders was Nichol Kessinger. She graduated from Colorado State University in 2013 with a degree in geology, which she also studied at the University of Aurora. In early 2018, she worked for Tasman Geosciences, which was contracted to work with Anadarko Petroleum Co., where Chris Watts worked. Who is Nichol Kessinger? Nichol Kessinger is a former co-worker of Chris Watts, who he'd begun dating around June 2018. Kessinger told the Denver Post that she was in a sexual relationship with Watts in summer 2018 near the time of the murders. However, and her internet search history revealed she'd attempted to research Shanann Watts as early as 2017. She told police, "We started hanging out pretty frequently in the last week of June. He informed me that he did have 2 kids, that he was currently in the process of a separation from his wife. As far as I knew, that was becoming pretty finalized." Kessinger also claimed that when she was first introduced to Watts, he wasn't wearing a wedding ring and that she thought he was attractive and a good listener. She said that on August 13, 2018, he told her that his family had disappeared, but it wasn't until she saw the media at his home that it began to click for her. "When I read the news, I found out he was still married and his wife was 15 weeks pregnant," Kessinger said, adding that she repeatedly questioned him about his circumstances, but received vague, evasive, or changing responses each time. "It got to a point that he was telling me so many lies that I eventually told him that I did not want to speak to him again until his family was found." She said that she had no idea that Shanann was pregnant. 2 days after discovering that Watts was married, Nichol Kessinger called the police to inform them that Chris Watts had repeatedly lied to her about his family's situation, noting that he seemed eerily calm about the entire thing. "With a pregnant woman and 2 children missing, I was going to do anything that I could," she said, adding, "He's a liar. He lied about everything. If he was able to lie to me and hide something that big, what else was he lying about?" However, reports suggest that Kessinger also deleted all her information about Watts from her phone before meeting with police. Authorities also reported that she searched for Amber Frey and Amber Frey's net worth after the murders. Amber Frey was Scott Peterson's girlfriend at the time he murdered his own pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson. What happened to Nichol Kessinger? Nichol Kessinger is reportedly under the care of the Witness Protection Program and deliberately lying very, very low in a different state and with a new job. "My name is about to be slandered for probably a while," she said in taped conversations with police. "I don't know how long it's going to take to heal, but I would not be surprised if it's going to be hard to go out in public sometimes for a couple of years." And that really hurts me. I'm just like, this is a horrible, horrible thing. How dare you, And people aren't going to understand that. They're going to say, "Oh, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family."